Here's Judge Andrew Napolitano reacting to the decision by Justice Roberts.
I am surprised by the way the Chief Justice got there. I believe Bill, and with all due respect to him as a legal scholar and as the Chief Justice of the United States of America, he will continue to undermine his own credibility as a fair-minded jurist because he has reached to bizarre and odd contortions in order to save this statute twice. Now, I don't know what's going through his head, and this is the final say. Unless Congress rewrites the statute, this is it. But this is a weird and unpredictable outcome.
Judge Napolitano on America's Newsroom earlier. Let's bring in attorney Tim O'Brien. He's covered the Supreme Court for 2 decades. He's also the author of the new book, Murder at the Supreme Court, Lethal Crimes and Landmark Cases. And here we are talking about a landmark case again. Tim, great to have you back on the program.
Hey, Jenna, nice to be with you. You may recall a few months ago when the Supreme Court took up this case, you asked, how can the court interpret a statute to say precisely what the law says? The law says that these subsidies must be funneled through exchanges set up by the state. How can they change that? Well, the answer is there an ambiguity? There's a fundamental principle of statutory construction that given an ambiguity, 2 ways to interpret a statute, you would interpret a way that upholds the statute. Here the challenge, of course, is there's nothing ambiguous about that language. I think that the olive branch that you get from Chief Justice Roberts is you got to look at the statute in context, and if you look at the context of the statute, there are ambiguities all over the place and very inartful drafting.
That's what he said exactly in his opinion, that if you look all over it, there's a lot of phrases that you could argue with. What do you think of Judge Napolitano's criticism of Justice Roberts today? Karl Rove also on our air earlier saying this is judicial activism.
I disagree with that. I think there are 2 honest ways to interpret this statute, and both of them make sense. Which way would I do? I don't know. The balls are in the air. I don't think it's too much of a stretch to say that the court should interpret a statute to accomplish what Congress sought to apply. What you have here, really, you have a very complicated law, and you have some legal issues that seem very complicated, but actually it's a question more of judicial philosophy. How much leeway do justices have in interpreting a statute? You see, Justice Scalia's dissent, it's not against Obama. He's always said that a statute means what it says. The Constitution means what it says. And you have no leeway to depart from that. That's a narrow view and doesn't always achieve the best result. Justice
Scalia also says something quite profound about the court as well. I'm going to read this again. I read it during our 11 o'clock hour, but I think it bears repeating. He says this, the cases will publish forever the discouraging truth that the Supreme Court of the United States favors some laws over others and is prepared to do whatever it takes to uphold and assist its favorites. What do you think of that criticism coming from inside the court?
Well, Scalia says some things for himself and a few others that do not, I think, reflect the sentiment of the court.